Just look at that thing. It's gorgeous, isn't it? The new Lexus GX 550. Boxy, aggressive, wearing standard 33-inch tires and looking every bit like the rugged, overland tank wealthy suburbanites have been begging for. Toyota has finally given the people what they truly want: a modern SUV that looks like it can survive an apocalypse. But pop the hood and the illusion shatters. Because tucked inside that beautifully styled engine bay isn't a massive, reliable, naturally aspirated V8 designed to outlive your grandchildren. No, no, no. The legendary 4.6-liter and 5.7-liter power plants are officially dead. In their place sits a tightly packed, highly pressurized 3.4-liter twin turbocharged V6, the V35A-FTS. And if you drop down to the Land Cruiser or the 4Runner, it just gets worse. A heavily stressed, turbocharged 4-cylinder hybrid. Welcome to the era of the modern turbo trap. Today, we need to talk about why the automotive industry's obsession with forced induction is turning what used to be an easy 300,000-mile mechanical monument into temporary driveway trophies, and why even Toyota couldn't resist this trap. Now, before we look under the cover, we have to understand the why. Toyota didn't replace their legendary V8s because they wanted to. They did it because global regulatory boards put a gun to their head. Corporate average fuel economy, or CAFE standards, have made high-displacement naturally aspirated engines a legal liability for manufacturers. On an engineer's spreadsheet, a smaller displacement engine with a turbocharger produces lower emissions during predictable test cycles. It allows a manufacturer to check the regulatory box, avoid billions in complicated fines, and boast about improved fuel economy numbers on the window stickers. But what happens when the engineering meets real-world road conditions? We're already seeing the cracks in the armor on a massive scale. The total recall count for Toyota's non-hybrid twin-turbo V6 family has now skyrocketed towards 270,000 vehicles. What started as a Tundra problem has officially bled into the luxury division, dragging the Lexus LX and the 2024 Lexus GX 550 directly onto the safety recall list. The headline culprit? Main bearing failures are caused by machining debris left inside the block during production, leading to engine knock, rough running, or sudden, complete power loss at highway speeds. Yeah, I know. They told us that was isolated to a Tundra problem, didn't they? And here's the kicker. Toyota has admitted that even after they implemented strict cleaning controls at the factory to stop this from contaminating the assembly line, debris was still sufficient to cause main bearing damage on these 2024 blocks. When you push clearances and engineering tolerances to the absolute microscopic limit to pull V8 power out of a smaller V6, there is zero margin for error. But let's look past the factory manufacturing defects. Let's look at the underlying blueprint of this vehicle. Because even if they flush out every single speck of metal flake from the assembly line moving forward, there is a systemic, long-term engineering crisis brewing right under that plastic cover.
Now let's talk about the physical reality of what happens when you look under the hood of the new Toyota Land Cruiser and its twin, the Lexus GX. For decades, a Land Cruiser engine was dead simple. It breathed atmospheric air. It burned fuel. It ran forever. It had room to breathe. Now look at the new setup. Toyota completely killed the big naturally aspirated block. Instead, they are force-feeding small engines with massive amounts of air. In the Lexus, you have twin turbos spinning at over 100,000 RPM, operating at scorched earth temperatures. In the Toyota, it's a heavily stressed turbo 4-cylinder hybrid. To keep these systems from melting, engineers had to snake an absolute labyrinth of plumbing through the engine bay. Dual intercoolers, vacuum lines, wastegate actuators, and oil feed lines. Everything is packed together, tighter than a hoarder's closet. And here's the cynical truth the marketing team won't tell you. All that extreme heat is being trapped inside a tiny compartment filled with plastic clips, rubber gaskets, and delicate wiring harnesses. 10 years from now, it won't be the forged steel pistons that fail. It will be a brittle, $3 plastic coolant fitting hidden deep behind a turbocharger somewhere that snaps, cooks your head gasket, and leaves you with a $15,000 bill on a truck that's barely out its finance term.
And that is the core of the modern turbo trap. It shifts the burden of vehicle reliability away from simple, heavy metal components over to an intricate maze of secondary cooling, plumbing, and hypersensitive oil feed lines. Now, let's look back to how Toyota built its legendary reputation in the first place. An old-school Toyota V8 was heavily understressed. It produced modest horsepower, relative to its actual physical size anyways. The internal components were never running anywhere near their thermal or structural limits. They were heavy, they were thirsty, and they were chemically lazy, which is precisely why they lasted forever with nothing but basic fluid changes. Now, this new generation of utility vehicle must work at 85 to 90% capacity just to perform everyday tasks. The turbos must spool up instantly just to get a 3-ton luxury brick away from a stoplight. The vehicle is living a high-stress, high-heat life from day one. It is an engineering compromise masqueraded as technological progress. Now, this brings us to the harsh truth about the modern automotive market. You see, these vehicles aren't being engineered for the second or third owner anymore. They are being built for the first buyer. They are engineered for the high-earning consumer who leases the vehicle for 36 months, parks it in an immaculate driveway to show his neighbors that he's really made it, and hands the keys right back to the dealership before the factory powertrain warranty expires. Yeah, for the first buyer, that GX550 is a spectacular machine. The initial premium quality is undeniable. But what happens when that lease ends? What happens to the secondary market? And you know, I'm not talking about some enthusiast who wants to build a long-term overland rig for the weekends. I'm talking about a young couple, a fresh couple just starting out, who just scraped together every single penny they had to buy their first home. And now they need a dependable, functioning family vehicle that can carry them through the next decade. They are looking to Toyota and Lexus for a very specific reason: trust. For 40 years, working-class families have trusted this brand because a Toyota was a financial shield. You bought a used one with 90,000 miles on the thing, and even though you paid a premium, even though that high resale value forced you to stretch your budget, you did it gladly. Why? Because you knew that truck would outlast your mortgage. You knew it was mechanically simple and bulletproof. You could have your cake and eat it too. Luxury, functionality, and legendary peace of mind. So this very same young couple walks onto a used car lot 5 or 6 years from now. They see the used twin-turbo V6 sitting there. The paint is still flawless. The interior still smells like high-end leather. It looks like a tank. It looks like the ultimate safe bet. They don't see the invisible clock ticking under that plastic engine cover. They don't understand that these rules of the game have changed completely. They think they're buying the historic, unkillable legacy of Toyota, but they're actually inheriting a highly pressurized, hyper-stressed piece of emissions compliance engineering. Oh yeah, there are going to be a lot of financial victims in this secondary market who buy these with 90 to 100,000 miles expecting a 300,000-mile monument, only to find out that out-of-warranty turbo maintenance is a swift, brutal path to a wiped-out savings account. They trusted that Toyota badge, but that badge had to compromise to survive the regulators. We are witnessing a fundamental redefinition of what the word reliability actually means. It used to mean physical simplicity that could withstand decades of hard labor and absolute neglect. Today, it means complex software management and predictive sensor designs to keep a fragile, highly pressurized system from self-destructing before the lease term ends. The automotive industry hasn't forgotten how to build durable, simple machines. They've just been legally and regulatory priced out of doing it. If you want the rugged styling and the status symbol the new generation of trucks delivers, just don't confuse a complex piece of emissions compliance engineering with the indestructible mechanical anchors of old.
Now, I know, the truth hurts, but the era of the simple, unkillable Land Cruiser is officially drawing to a close, unfortunately. If you want long-term mechanical peace of mind, you have to look past the aggressive retro styling, look past the marketing hype, and start looking hard at what's actually under the hood. Because the modern turbo trap is real, and it is expensive, unless you drive a Honda Pilot. More on that later. Let me know in the comments below. Would you trust this new generation of turbocharged trucks on a cross-country trip with 200,000 miles on the odometer? Or are you holding on to your old, naturally aspirated block forever? Drop a comment. Hit that subscribe button if you want more honest, no BS market analysis. Now we'll see you at the next exit. We got to get out of here. Got to get out of this garage and hit the highway. Safe travels, everyone.